All this talk about finding the future shortstop for the Atlanta Braves in free agency and trade and the draft, and they may already have it in John Gil, who's already reached Double-A.
You are Locked On Braves, your daily Atlanta Braves podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, welcome back to Locked On Braves, part of Locked On Sports Atlanta, where we cover your favorite Atlanta sports teams each and every day, and also part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is now the #1 sports podcast network. I am your host, Jake Mastroianni. You can follow me on social media at Shortstop Ball. Check out the podcast there at Locked On_Braves on X, Locked On Braves on Instagram, or wherever you get on social media, TikTok, Facebook, all that good stuff. You can find us there. You can also find us on YouTube as well. Just make sure you, when you get there, hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, hit that thumbs up button. Leave us a comment down below. And if you're listening on the audio side, you can have out too. Just leave a 5-star review on Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast. Thanks so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. Go check out Locked On MLB for your second listen of the day as well. Just keep it rolling right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Again, the #1 sports podcast network. Thank you so much for your support of us here at Locked On Braves, though. I do appreciate it. Today, we're going to be prospect heavy. We're going to talk about John Gil in the first segment. Could he be that future shortstop? Are we overlooking him as that future shortstop for the team? We'll also get into some Rule 5 decisions that'll need to happen on Tuesday afternoon in the latest news, as we're getting some signings now, some things starting to happen in MLB free agency. Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. I've talked a lot about the shortstop position on here. Obviously, it's the position that Alex Anthopoulos said that they are prioritizing this offseason. It's a position that's pretty much been left unattended to for the last 3 years now, since Dansby Swanson signed with the Chicago Cubs. You got half a good year from Orlando Arcia. Ever since then, it's been nothing but bad for the shortstop position for the Atlanta Braves. No more attaboys coming around with that shortstop position with the way that they've been performing. And we're looking for that shortstop. Obviously, for this season, this upcoming season, you got to find something because you don't have anything that's really all that close. But maybe we do have somebody that's closer than we think in John Gil, who's already been moved up to Double-A. Now, personally, for me, before even seeing the guy, which is not fair, I judged him as somebody that's probably going to move to second base because of his size. However, he's 6'1", but 175 pounds. He definitely needs to put on some size to help him at the plate. But one of my first initial thoughts of him as I sat down to watch him this offseason, I've watched several games of his now, seeing him in the box, he was bigger than I thought he would be. He looked a little bit more imposing in the batter's box. And again, 6'1", 6'2", that's generally the frame that you're looking for in a shortstop. So he definitely fits that. So I'm going to start defensively because that's obviously the biggest thing for me. Can you handle the position defensively? That has to be, anytime you're talking about the shortstop position, that's got to be the #1 question. Can you handle the position defensively? Because if you're not, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how well you hit. If you can't play there defensively, then we're not talking about the future shortstop. I've watched a few games, as I've said. I think there is certainly a case for him to be an average to slightly above average shortstop defensively. Now, he's 19 years old. He can obviously grow and play better. I hate to make this comparison, and it's really not fair, but I talk about it a lot in Vaughn Grissom when I was evaluating him to see, can he handle the position defensively? And just quite honestly, not to be too harsh on Vaughn Grissom, I watched one rep of him and you could see he just doesn't have that confidence. I could see it in the way that he made a play where he did make the play. He got the runner out, but it takes a certain level of confidence to play the shortstop position. And you could just tell immediately Vaughn didn't have that. He was thinking too much about everything that he was doing at the shortstop position. It almost felt mechanical, but not in a smooth way, the way that he was doing it, almost robotic. It felt stiff. I don't get that sense with watching John Gil at shortstop. The actions do seem a little bit smoother. I just need to see more. It's hard. You just know I'm picking random games throughout the season and watching them, so you don't always get to see the best shots of him defensively. I say it all the time. The reason I don't buy into metrics is because you really got to watch somebody play the defensive position, 20, 30, 40 games to see several different situations and scenarios and how they react to them. Because for me, it's not just the physical abilities and playing a position defensively and making sure that you have the range, that you have the arm. For shortstop in particular, it's more about the baseball IQ. I point this out all the time for Dansby. Dansby doesn't have the arm. And I would even argue that Dansby doesn't necessarily have the best range either, but he gets to those balls because he has a very, very high baseball IQ. He is predicting where the baseball is going to go, and that's why he has become a great defensive player. So especially when judging the shortstop position, it's not just the physical attributes. Do they have the range? Do they have the arm? How do they handle different situations? How are you thinking about plays before they happen? Again, the play I bring up a lot for Dansby, it's kind of the perfect example of this. Runner on second, ball hit up the middle. Dansby gets to it, knocks it down, has no play, knows that. And when he gets up, he's not looking to first base. He's looking to third to see if the runner rounded third. In that game in Arizona, he nailed the runner at home to win the game for him. It's that type of thing where hey, if I get to this ball, I might not have a play at first base, but immediately pop up and look to third and see if that runner, thought the ball got up the middle. It's little things like that aren't always picked up in the metrics that really make the biggest difference. And it's just hard to do that when watching a player, 4 or 5 games of him. You're not always going to get that. It's going to take, 30, 40 games, 50 games, maybe even to really see that. And so I just haven't seen enough of that yet. I still need to see more. He definitely does have the quickness. You can see that. He's very, very quick. I do think the arm is a lacking, at least visually. It doesn't look like a very strong arm. Obviously, don't have the data on that, but he does have the quickness, something I'd like to see more of again. And I'm going to continue to watch some of his games this offseason. Are the hands quick enough? I need to see him turn some more double plays. And how quick is he with the hands? Something with Nacho we talk about. Nacho didn't have the range for the shortstop position, but he has really good hands. You saw that playing third base. The hands were really, really good. I need to see more of that from Gill to see if he can handle that part of it defensively at the shortstop position. There is a play out there that I found, just video. I was looking for some highlights, some defensive highlights. There is one from 2024 at the FCL level. It's a high chopper. Really high. It comes down, bounces off the turf. He grabs it with his bare hand and throws out the runner. That's just very impressive. There's another play made like that this past year that you can find on MILB highlights too. It's a very similar play, high hopper. No, actually, it's a deflection off the third baseman. He bare hands it, throws out the runner. So you see some good stuff like that in highlights. I just still need to see more. But according to MLB Pipeline, quote from them and their write-up of him, he has a real chance to stick at shortstop long-term with a lot of range and enough arm to handle it. And so they definitely believe he can stick at the position. A tweet from Gorov, who I talk about all the time, one of the best at covering Braves prospects out there. This tweet from him back in March talking about Gill, who said he made a smooth, that was reacting to a smooth double play that he made, saying that he should be able to stick at the shortstop position. So again, guys who cover this more, who have watched more of him, they believe he can stick at the shortstop position. So for now, I'm going to have to take that stance that, okay, he can handle it defensively. So then the question becomes, if he can handle it defensively, what does the bat look like? And that's, for the most part, been the calling card for John Gil. It's not really been a question about the bat, but we'll get more into that here next. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand into the fourth quarter, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. You can check out FanDuel.com right now. They're getting more and more odds on the 2026 MLB season out there. American League winner, National League winner. The Braves have the fourth best odds to win the National League behind two division rivals in the Phillies and Mets. So that's not fun. But they got other stuff out there, odds out there as well, World Series odds. But they got college football right now, where the national champion is heavily favored Ohio State right now behind Indiana. Texas A&M, Notre Dame, Georgia, Oregon, poor Alabama, fell down the charts after losing this past week. You can go to NBA as well. They got NBA Finals odds out there. The Oklahoma City Thunder, big favorites over the Denver Nuggets. You can see all those odds there at FanDuel.com. Also, please make sure you visit FanDuel.com/playsafe for tools and resources to help you stay in control of the way you play. And right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. As always, thank you so much for making Locked On Braves your first listen of each and every day. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up button, and leave us a comment down below on YouTube. And when you're done here, go make Locked On MLB your second listen of the day. Solely will get you caught up on everything happening around Major League Baseball. And again, right here on Locked On Braves, we'll have at least 3 more episodes for you this week. Hopefully, we'll start getting some more news here soon. It's been kind of dry. I'm hoping we get at least one big signing before Thanksgiving. That would be a lot of fun. But whatever it is, we'll be reacting to it here at Locked On Braves. Getting back into our discussion with John Gil and looking at the offensive side of things. So we've determined defensively, he can at least handle the position. Don't know how great he'll be defensively at the position. More time will tell on that. And he is still just 19, turns 20 in May. But what could he look like at the plate? So real quickly through his numbers in 2023 in the DSL, 48 games /285, 409, 386, a 127 WRC plus, just 1 home run, 20 stolen bases, a 16.6% walk rate, a 17.1% strikeout rate. And then in 2024 at the Complex League and at A-ball single A, he played just 51 games, 286, 403, 389 slash line, a 125 WRC plus, 3 home runs to 26 steals, 13.3% walk rate, and a 16.1% strikeout rate. So you're seeing first two professional seasons and third, which I'm going to get to here in a minute, this past season. But keep an eye on that walk rate and that strikeout rate. Very similar, both in the mid to low teens. It's exactly what you want to see for a contact speed guy like John Gil. And then this past season, 2025, was injured for a bit, so was recovering in the Complex League. Just played 1 game there. Played 100 games at single A, and then 6 games to end the year at double A. 107 games in total, nearly 500 at bats. He slashed 252. So you see that average drop a good bit. Don't love to see that. 348 on base percentage, still very, very good. 366 slug, though. Again, not fantastic, but overall at 114 WRC plus, and again, 100 is average. 7 home runs, 54 stolen bases, 12.4% walk rate, so still a very good walk rate, and a 14.5% strikeout rate, which is fantastic. So you've seen all 3 years professionally so far. It's been a walk rate in the 12 to 13% mark and a strikeout rate, around 15%. So those are great numbers right there for somebody to get on base, make a lot of contact. And with somebody with his speed, that's exactly what you want. Now, I'm going to touch first on these 6 games at double A. And here's what I want to make very, very clear. He was 19 years old. He skipped high A to finish the year the last week at double A. And those are the games that I've watched. I need to go back and watch some more at single A. It's really, really not fair to judge a 19-year-old in a 6-game sample size at double A, but it wasn't great. I mean, it wasn't great. 174 average, a 29 WRC plus, but I think maybe the most concerning thing is the 28% strikeout rate. Again, it's a 19-year-old skipping high A, going straight to double A. But the 20, near 30% strikeout rate for somebody who has been so good in the lower levels at night, not striking out, it does send a little bit of alarm. But don't read too much into it. I'm going to try not to, but it's all we have to go on right now. Now, looking at his numbers in 100 games at single A Augusta, again, 258 average. Would love to see that average be a little bit better there. 352 on base, 378 slug, a 118 WRC plus, 7 home runs. So you're seeing the home runs tick up every year, 50 steals, 12.3% walk rate, 13.9% strikeout rate. So at the level that he should be at, he was very, very good. Again, I would love to see that batting average up a little bit more, closer to 70 to 80 at that level. But you're seeing the home run, the power start to come a little bit. You're seeing the steals, the walk rate, the strikeout rate, all point to somebody that could be a very, good to great hitter. and somebody that's definitely going to get on base. So what could this look like, projecting out what John Gil could look like at the, once he's fully mature? What is his, 90th percentile outcome, just based on what we've seen so far at the lower levels, not really accounting and weighing too heavily on what happened at AA in 1 week as a 19-year-old. I think you're looking at somebody that's maybe a 260. I'm hoping the average is better. I'm hoping this year it's just kind of a fluke. I mean, 258, he nearly hit 260 at high A, but I'm still hoping the average is a little bit better than that. But I think right now I'd have to project it at a 260-ish hitter, 330, 340 on base type of guy, 370, 380 slug, somebody that hits 10 to 15 home runs, steals 30 plus bases, walks 11 to 12% of the time, strikes out 15 to 18% of the time. Who does that look like? It honestly looks like Ha-Seong Kim. You look at some of Ha-Seong Kim's best years, you're looking at mid-teens home run production, around 30 stolen bases, a good walk rate, a lower strikeout rate. That honestly looks like Ha-Seong Kim. And I think if you got that out of John Gil, you'd be very happy with that. Now, the one thing we don't know, and as we talked about in the first segment, I think he could be fine defensively. Ha-Seong Kim obviously was Gold Glove caliber back before the injuries, but that line I just gave you, that's Ha-Seong Kim type of production. That's somebody that's probably going to be near around 100, 110 WRC plus type of production. So, I mean, that's definitely what he could be. And if he adds some more power, maybe he gets to 15 to 20 home runs. That makes a big difference. Then all of a sudden you're looking at somebody that's a potential 2020 type of player. Now that's being very optimistic, but again, he doesn't turn 20 until May. And, at least last reporting I saw on MILB.com, he's 175 pounds. So, you add a little bit more to that as he continues to grow. And we've seen the home runs go up every year. Could he get to 20 home runs? That suddenly doesn't feel like it, because you're going from, somebody who's maybe mid to low teens to somebody that hit 20, but that makes a big difference in the type of player that he could be. So again, that's really the only thing. I see Joe Me and Mass and Video talking in the comments section. Is he a 5-tool player? No, but again, I don't know defensively enough. I just can't say. And even what we've read on him say that he could handle the shortstop position, not that he can play it tremendously, but power is definitely the lacking tool for John Gil from being that top prospect. I think if the power were there, I think you'd see him easily a top 10 prospect. Some people have him outside of the Braves top 10. I'm not sure where I have him yet, but I think you'd see him pushing top 100 prospect. I mean, you're talking about a guy that could hit 270 and be a 2020 type of player and steal 30 plus bases and play good defense at a primary position. That's a top 100 prospect. So that's how close he really is. We just need to see more of it. So the next question is, when could it happen? I want to confidently say that it won't be 2026, but this is the Atlanta Braves we're talking about. Now, generally it's pitchers that they're pushing through quicker, but because they already promoted him to AA, and again, that's not fair and probably something the Braves shouldn't have done, but just because of where the roster was, they had to promote him somewhere, and he had to go to AA because you had two guys already at high A playing the shortstop position, which could be a reason why he goes back to AA. But I want to confidently say he won't be up in 2026. But, if they have to start him in AA and he plays well and proves he can handle the higher pitching, again, it all depends on what happens this offseason. They go outside and Ha-Seong Kim. I don't think they're going to push him out for a 20-year-old who got off to a hot start at AA. But you could potentially see, him knocking on the door. Maybe he comes into spring training in 2027 looking to claim the spot as a future shortstop for the team. Again, that's highly, highly optimistic view of things, but it's not not outside the realm of possibility that could happen. I think he probably should go back, not even go back, but go to high A where he skipped and start him there in 2025. AA is a very tough league for anyone to hit, but especially a soft hitting 19-year-old who doesn't turn 20 until May. That's a very tough challenge for a hitter. And, even if he even if he had to spend the entire year at high A, it wouldn't be considered a failure and would be on par with where he probably should be. But if he does get off to a good start there, or if they have to force him up to double A just because of the rest of their roster, because, they got Jim Jarvis at triple A now, which you can move Jim Jarvis off of that, but you're not putting John Gil up to triple A or really anybody else. You have Ambioris Tavares and Lisandro Espinosa, assuming you're going to have those two guys back. They're likely going to need some opportunities at shortstop, although they started moving Tavares to second base, although I think he definitely is one of the best defensive shortstops in the system. Espinosa, they use him at shortstop, but also center field. So you can move those two guys around. But look at high A, where you're probably going to have Alex Lodis and Miller, Cody Miller there next year, and you're going to want to try both of those guys out at shortstop. Single A, you're going to maybe have Tate Southasine, which you could move him to shortstop, center field. You might have Jose Perdomo, although I think he probably needs to go to the complex and at least prove that he can hit there first. But all of a sudden in this system, you got a lot of players that you want to see at shortstop, but John Gil probably needs to be the priority of those guys. But as you look at it throughout the system, double A might be where he gets the most playing time and where he fits the best, just because, like I said, you're going to have Lodis and Miller likely at high A, and you're going to want to play both of those guys at shortstop. Jomi says you could put Lodis at double A, not after the professional debut that he had at high A. I'm not moving him up to double A. If you start him there and he plays well, then yeah, just based on age and experience, I could see them moving him up to double A. But it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with him, just because of the roster situation. You can move guys around. You move Gill around too. He's played some third base, but again, they might be forced to move him to double A just based on where the rest of the shortstops are in the system. Things he needs to work on. He needs to continue to work on the defense. I need to still see more of it myself. Needs to add some power. If he can add the power, like I said, I think he's a borderline top 100 type of prospect if everything else, comes together the way that we're hoping. You make him a 20 home run type of hitter and somebody that can hit for average and get on base and play good defense at shortstop. Yeah. I mean, it's a top 100 prospect. But the power does need to come, because in one of the games that I watched of his, he squared up the wall. Like, it sounded loud when he hit it. The way the announcer reacted, you thought it was going to be off the wall, and it did not even come anywhere close to the warning track. The left fielder caught it pretty easily in the left center field gap coming in a good 30, 40 feet away from the warning track. So there's got to be some more power there, not just for the home runs, but for gap to gap power like those balls. When he squares up that baseball like that, being able to shoot it into a gap for the double, that's a big part of could be a big part of his game too, with a little bit of added power. And then he needs to prove that he can handle upper level pitching. Again, I'm not trying not to put too much stock into 6 games at double A for a 19-year-old, but that is something that he's going to have to prove to us before he gets a shot in the big leagues. But that's really it. I mean, it doesn't sound like he is that far off from being the future shortstop. And, that's refreshing. Again, we still need to see it. There's things to work on, specifically the power, specifically being able to handle high-level pitching and showing that that walk-to-strikeout ratio we've seen at the lower level, that can carry over to double A, triple A pitching. If he does those two things, I think he's the future shortstop for the team. I really do. Granted that I can trust some of these other evaluators and that he can handle the position defensively. I think he could be the future shortstop for the Atlanta Braves. So that's exciting to think about, because I've been sitting here doom and gloom thinking, who's it going to be? Do they have any options in the system? And taking a closer look at John Gil, I think they possibly do. Now he still has to work on those things that I mentioned to get there, but if he can, I feel more confident about him than anybody else in the system right now. I would love to see Ambioris Tavares stop striking out 30% of the time and become a good hitter to go along with that good defense and be the future shortstop. But I just don't see that happening at this point. I would love for Nacho to hit for enough power and have enough range to play shortstop, but he just doesn't at this point. We haven't seen enough of Southasine, Lodis, or Miller really to make good evaluations on them yet. But John Gil could be that guy. And so I think that's great news for Braves fans. All right, next we'll get into the Rule 5 decisions the Braves have to make on Tuesday afternoon. Who are they keeping? Who are they not going to protect? We'll get into all that here next. So we do know we're going to have a little bit of news on Tuesday as 6 p.m. Eastern is the deadline to add prospects to the 40-man roster in order to protect them from the Rule 5 draft. Just as a reminder, any player taking in the MLB version of the Rule 5 draft would have to stay on that team's active roster for the entire year, or they'd have to offer them back to the team that they took them from. The Braves only have 3 open spots on the 40-man roster. So unless they open up some more spots, they'd only be able to protect at most 3 players. Lindsay put up a great article on Braves Today. You want to go give that a read, I can encourage you to do so. He breaks down some of the top candidates there. I'm going to go quickly through the Rule 5 eligible players at each position. At catcher, Adam Zabrowski, Tyler Tolvey. I would have thought Tolvey might be a guy with some good power a couple of years ago, but injuries have really kind of held him back. Zabrowski, one of the games I was watching at AA this offseason, I mean, he couldn't hardly catch the ball behind the plate. I don't think they're going to be protecting him. Infielders, Embior Taveras, I talked about him, 35.5% strikeout rate at AA this past year. Did show some signs. I mean, it was a 90 WRC plus, which is a big improvement, but a really struggled again with the plate approach, plate discipline this past year. Has some power when he makes contact, has some good speeds. He has some really good attributes. It's just that strikeout rate is abysmal. But if he can ever figure that out, again, I think he could be a really good player. David McCabe is one that's interesting for me, and I think it's going to be a big decision for them. He had a really good 2025 after coming back from missing most of 2024 with an injury. 25 years old, reached AAA this past year, a 793 OPS overall, 14 home runs, 71 walks to 121 strikeouts. Not necessarily the big power guy that I thought we were getting when they drafted him out of Charlotte, but it's become a little bit more of a complete hitter. Can't play third base. I do know that. I don't even know if he can play first base. He might be a DH only. I don't know that the Braves protect him, but I do think he might be the best bat in the system at the upper levels right now, not counting Nacho Alvarez. He might be the best prospect bat in the system. Maybe that says more about the Braves farm system than anything else. But Dave McCabe is maybe the only one outside of another one we'll get to in a second that I think is a no-brainer. I think David McCabe may be the only other one that gets protected. EJ Exposito, 24 years old, has reached AA, 693 OPS last year. Keyshawn Ogans, 24 at AA with a 93 WRC plus last year. No home runs, but doesn't strike out a lot, walks a good bit. Luke Waddell's an interesting one too. 27 years old at AAA, most, if not all of last year. And then he's come back from injury, played one other game rehabbing. 96 WRC plus, 12.3% walk rate, 12.8% K rate, just 1 home run. Luke Waddell, I don't think a team would do this, but I think he's really close to earning a utility job on a bench somewhere. A guy that can just play all over the infield, honestly, a David Fletcher type of guy. A hitter and just a ball player that can play all over, can play short if you needed him to. I think he has the ability to be a big league utility player. Is that worth protecting on your 40-man roster? Probably not. Cal Conley, showed signs early on. I think 2 years ago he had a really good season, but it's been downhill since then. Lisandro Espinosa, who they got in the minor league portion of the Rule 5 draft last year, is now Rule 5 eligible for the major league portion. Some good tools, 12 home runs, 23 steals. He get caught stealing 13 times, which is not great. Can play short, can play center, really athletic, but again, not somebody you're protecting. Outfielders, Kevin Kilpatrick, 24 years old. Somebody that I really liked when they drafted is, very athletic, toolsy type of player, but hasn't quite developed how you want. Ethan Workinger, another outfielder, 24 at AA. Spent all of last year at AA with a 684 OPS, 16 homers, 12 steals. Justin Giannis, 25 at High A. 91 games there last year, just a 657 OPS. The one for sure is Blake Burkhalter, 25 years old at AAA last year, 3.32 ERA, 1.32 WHIP over 103 innings. He's knocking on the door. He's going to be protected. Could be a starter as soon as this year. Possibly could move him to the bullpen. So Blake Burkhalter is the one for sure they're going to protect. But there are some other good pitchers on here. Ian Mejia, 25 years old, up to AAA, a 2.67 ERA last year. He's somebody that he pitches. He doesn't overpower you, but he knows how to pitch. He's probably a 6th, 7th starter on a big league roster as a team, that needs some pitching depth. going to take that chance on him? Maybe. I don't think the Braves protect him. Landon Harper, 24 at Double-A, a 3.59 ERA, a 1.11 WHIP last year. Again, some good stuff as a starter, as a reliever. I don't think he's going to be protected, though. I don't think he'll be taken either, but he's another one like Mejia, kind of borderline of a team that wants some pitching depth and just take a shot on a guy. Could see it happening. Adam Mayer, somebody who I really liked out of the draft, but has just never been able to stay healthy and never really put it together. He did get an outing at AAA this past year, but a 5.83 ERA overall. Cedric D. Grand Prix, 23 at High A, hurt this last year, only threw 60 in the third innings, but was really good. 3.28 ERA, a near 30% strikeout rate. But again, not somebody you're going to protect. Samuel Mejia, also really good numbers, 23 at Double-A, 4.35 ERA, but a 108 WHIP, a 181 batting average against, but somebody that's not going to be protected. And then some relief pitchers, Ellison Joseph, Luis Vargas, Samuel Strickland, really good numbers, 27.3% strikeout rate, 0.93 WHIP, 2.87 ERA, but at High A, so hasn't advanced far enough for somebody really to take a shot on him in their bullpen. And then Albert Rivas. So those are the players that are Rule 5 eligible. Like I said, I think Blake Burkhalter is the only guarantee. Maybe David McCabe. And then if there were a third one, because like I said, they have 3 spots open, maybe Ian Mejia or Landon Harper, but I doubt it's going to be any of those guys. Like I said, probably 1, maybe 2 that gets protected for the Rule 5 draft. Some other news around Major League Baseball. Mentioned yesterday, Josh Naylor signed a deal with the Mariners, 5 years, $92.5 million. So good for he and the Mariners. Ryan Yarbrough, a lefty, signs a $2.5 million deal with the Yankees. Another lefty, Kyle Hart, signs a 1-year, $1 million deal with the Padres. And then the Hall of Fame ballot is officially out. First timers are Cole Hamels, Ryan Braun, Alex Gordon, Senshu Chu, Encarnacion, Kendrick, Markakis, Pence, Gio, Kemp, Daniel Murphy, and Porcello. Nobody getting in on that list. Top returners are Beltran, who got 70.3 last year. He probably gets in this year. Andrew Jones, 66.2. Really hoping he gets in this year. Butler at 38.8%. A-Rod at 37.1%. Man Ram, it's his last year on the ballot, got 34.3%. Andy Pettit, 27.9 last year. King Felix, just 20.6. I don't know. I remember King Felix much better than that. I remember him being Hall of Fame worthy, but maybe his career was cut a little bit short. Abreu, J-Roll, Vizquel, all returners as well. Hopefully this is the year for Andrew Jones. I've kind of really stopped caring and putting much stock into it, but hopefully that's going to be the case. All right, that will do it for this episode of a Locked On Braves. Thanks so much for joining me here. PJs, Joe, me, Mass Boost, Rex, Green. Thank you all for being here live as well. Thank you so much for joining. Video Moon, every day you're in here. Appreciate you for coming in here. Thanks for all your support. Make sure you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Hit that thumbs up button. Leave us a comment down below. Make sure that you rate, review, and subscribe to the Locked On Braves podcast wherever you get your podcast, and we will talk to you next time.